Hello everybody, in today's video we're going to be going over the upcoming pattern. We're going to have some drought relief down through the southwest. Up in the northeast we'll also have a bit of a rainier pattern with some colder temperatures in the south and the southeast, and some warmer temperatures into parts of the north and also in the western United States. So let's get right into it here, and let's start off with your current National Weather Service page. As you can see, we have some red flag warnings for fire danger in parts of California, Oregon, Washington, much of Idaho into Montana, Wyoming, and a little bit of South Dakota as well. We have excessive heat warnings in that kind of purple shade for eastern Montana, as well as some heat advisories in parts of North Dakota and Montana as well. We have flood watches in some parts of Arizona, Utah, and Nevada, as well as a little bit of northern Alabama and southern Tennessee, with a few air quality alerts also scattered throughout the western United States. Taking a look at yesterday's high temperature, was at 119 degrees in Death Valley, California. Low temperature 21 miles west-northwest of Big Piney, Wyoming, where they got down to 36 degrees. Same in Peterson's, Utah, where they also got down to 36 degrees Fahrenheit. And the highest rainfall report was in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, where they got 5.58 inches of rainfall. There were no snowfall reports as of yesterday. Taking a look at the European model, this is going to be showing you the temperature anomaly map. So this is showing you how far above or below normal the temperatures are in these areas. As you can see, in parts of the southeast, the southern plains, that would be an example of below normal temperatures or colder than normal temperatures, and that's signified by the blues, the greens, and the purples. So the blues, greens, and purples are where you're going to see the colder temperatures, and the oranges, the reds, and even the brown colors, that's where you're going to be dealing with some of the warmer temperatures. So an example would be what you see in the Great Lakes and the northern plains. This would be for tomorrow, so you can see that we are expecting that colder air mass to kind of just dig in to the southeast. We're going to be seeing a big high pressure build in over the western U.S. and also into parts of southern Canada. And that high pressure will help to build in some of those warmer temperatures. You're going to see some troughing start to move down from eastern Canada, and that'll move down into the east coast. So eventually we're going to have a trough setup that kind of looks somewhat like this, where you're dealing with cold air digging into the east coast and the southern United States, with some of those warmer temperatures out to the west and also into the north. So again, this will be for tomorrow. If we fast forward here to Wednesday, you can see that colder air mass is now really taking place over the entire eastern half of the country for the most part. We have temperatures that are going to be, I would say, between about 3 to 6 degrees Celsius below normal. That's closer to around 5 to even 12 or 13 degrees Fahrenheit above normal or below normal. So rather chilly temperatures. Again, these are not going to be very noticeable, mainly because we're still in summer. So of course, seeing a temperature that's maybe 10 degrees below normal in, let's say, July is going to be a lot different than seeing 10 degrees below normal in January. In January, you might be talking about some temperatures getting into the lower teens or even the single digits, maybe even in a few spots getting down below zero. But when you're talking about maybe 10 degrees below normal in July, now you're talking about maybe 75, 80, or 85 degrees so as your high temperature. Really nothing that's going to be too noticeably cold, although it will feel fairly nice. It won't be as humid and uncomfortable as you would typically see. It'll also be a little bit drier, so it'll be a fairly nice and actually comfortable pattern to be outside, and instead of the 90-degree heat with the really high relative humidity. So that's definitely good news that we are dealing with a little bit of those comfortable temperatures moving into the east. It will be more noticeable in these areas that are expecting above normal temperatures, such as the northern plains. This is where we're looking at temperatures that could be 5 to 10 degrees Fahrenheit above normal. So now you're talking about temperatures getting up into the 90s, even the mid 90s, or even upper 90s in a few of these spots. So fairly warm in these areas. Looking for Thursday, you can see that still cold along the southern tier of the country. So pretty much from the southwest to the southeast, with the exception of California, that entire area is going to be colder than normal. Same goes for the northeast, where we're also going to be below normal. There's a little gap in between here for the mid-Atlantic, and that stretches up through the Mississippi River Valley and then into the Great Lakes. But that is going to go away. That's a little bit of a buffer zone where we do still have some ridging starting to build in there, but it's not really going to be able to take place or take hold. You're now starting to see that high pressure in the northern plains be able to kind of move in a little bit more. It is able to develop a little bit better. So now you're seeing temperatures that are going to be maybe 5 to 15 degrees above normal in parts of the northern plains. Looking for Friday, you can see that not a lot has changed. Everything kind of shifted a little bit further to the east. So you still have that little buffer zone if you live in the mid-Atlantic, where you're a little bit warmer, but the rest of the eastern United States looking to be colder than normal. Also will be colder than normal in the southwest, especially for areas like Arizona, southern Nevada, and southern and central Utah, as well as some parts of New Mexico. And the main reason is because it will be raining in these areas for a good majority of that time. So it will at least be cloudy, or you'll see some rain that should block out the sun, and that should allow the temperatures to kind of cool down a little bit instead of getting that desert heat, which is more typical this time of year. So now you're going to have temperatures that are still going to get into the 80s and 90s definitely, but you're not dealing with the super warm temperatures up near 110 or 120 degrees, which can sometimes happen in these areas. Looking at Saturday of next week, or of this week, I guess you could say, we're looking at these colder temperatures still scattered throughout the eastern United States. The warmer temperatures are, again, still located in the northern plains and also along parts of the northwest, with the southwest being the exception there, where they are still dealing with fairly colder than normal temperatures. And that is, again, a good sign, because that's actually a side effect of seeing some of that rainfall in that area that's helping to cool down the temperatures a little bit. By Sunday, you can see still rather chilly along the east coast. It's a little bit warmer, so you're getting a little bit closer to normal, but still you are on the colder side of things relative to normal. And then the rest of the western half of the country looks to be warmer, with, again, the exception of the southwest and even parts of the coastal northwest. This would be by Monday of next week, and you can see still the pattern is fairly similar. Again, this is going to be a fairly stable pattern. Not a lot is going to be changing over the next couple of weeks. Taking a look at the upper air map, this is a good way of kind of explaining what's happening and why it's happening. So you can see that at 500 millibars, which is a few thousand feet up in the atmosphere, you can see that we're dealing with a high pressure sitting in through parts of the west. So it's a fairly big and just general high pressure. Now you might be wondering why the high pressure is in parts of Colorado and Utah, but those areas are actually going to be fairly close to normal, and the areas that are actually going to be above normal or fairly above normal are actually going to be up here into parts of Saskatchewan, Alberta, Manitoba, North Dakota, Montana. So these areas right here are going to be the areas that are really feeling the warmer temperatures, and the reason is because we have a surface high pressure which is sitting up in that area. The upper air high pressure is over the Rockies, so we have a big difference right there. That is why in parts of the southwest it'll actually be colder, even though you are dealing with a bit of a high pressure in place in the upper atmosphere. The lower atmosphere is a lot chillier and colder in those areas. So that's why that's happening. If you're in the northwest and you're wondering why it's going to be a little bit cooler, we have a big low pressure sitting off of British Columbia that is bringing in colder temperatures with how it is kind of spinning around, because the low pressure, of course, is bringing in that air off the Pacific, which is relatively cold for this time of year. And then if we're looking at over the eastern United States, you have a big trough which is disconnected from this low pressure up in northern Quebec. That trough is just kind of digging in through the eastern United States. You're even dealing with maybe a bit of a low pressure developing on the southern end of this into parts of Mississippi, Arkansas, and Tennessee. And that's why we're dealing with the below normal temperatures in this area. The upper air and the lower air patterns do match up quite well with the trough in the east. Taking a look at the 6 to 10 day outlook from the Climate Prediction Center, this goes from the 24th through the 28th. You can see that we're expecting colder than normal temperatures in parts of the southwest and the southern plains, with colder temperatures also expected in the northeast. Much of the rest of the country is expected to be above normal, and that'll also come as a welcome surprise for those of you who live in the southeast, who over the next 6 to 10 days and most likely over the next 7 to 14 days are expected to become to be a little bit warmer, a little bit on the warmer end of things. We're going to kind of move out of that colder pattern very gradually. So areas, especially along the coastal southeast, could be dealing with a rather nice and a little bit less chilly pattern over the next couple of weeks. Looking at the 8 to 14 day outlook, not a lot has changed. The only thing that's really changed is that we might get a little bit warmer if you live in the southwest, and also if you live in the northeast, where those amounts are kind of a little bit lower. We have less confidence in those colder temperatures, and also the actual area that's covered in below normal temperatures has also decreased on the 8 to 14 day outlook. But again, that is still 8 to 14 days out, so we're still fairly far out, and we still need to see how exactly this upper air setup is going to maneuver over the next few weeks. Taking a look at the precipitation, talking about mainly the drought issues in the southwest, you can see how the west coast is still under some really below normal amounts of rainfall. This is as of the next 7 days. So this is showing you how far above or below normal the rainfall is going to be compared to the average over the next 7 days from what's projected from these ensemble models. You can see that in that blue color, that's where you're dealing with at least 300% or 3 times the weekly normal rainfall, and you even have some areas that are getting near 5 or 6 times the average weekly rainfall. The areas along the west coast are not seeing any rainfall, so of course they're going to be at 0%. They aren't as big of a drought, but they are still in some amount of drought. So they still do need a little bit of rainfall, but definitely the area that needs it more is definitely going to be in the southwest. They since if we were to go back a month or so, they wouldn't have seen any rainfall for about a few months. You're looking at maybe 6 or 7 months where they didn't see any rainfall at all, even longer. In some of these areas, over the past week or so, we have been able to get a little bit more rainfall, but still, it hasn't been too much, especially in these areas into the central and northern Rockies, especially in areas like Colorado, Utah, northern Nevada, Idaho, Wyoming. Still, they are dealing with that drought issue persisting because they're not dealing with that much rainfall being added. Areas like Arizona, Nevada, and southern Utah, though, are getting quite a lot of rainfall. They're getting a few inches of rainfall, which is way above their weekly average, since their weekly average is already so low. Taking a look at the Drought Monitor, this was last updated on the 13th, so that would be 6 days ago as of today. I believe they're going to update this on Wednesday, or actually they're going to update this tomorrow on Tuesday. So we have one more day, and then they're going to show us the updated drought outlook. I think they're probably going to remove most of this exceptional drought in parts of Arizona and New Mexico, although I'm not certain because, of course, we don't know how much rainfall actually fell over that past week. We do know that it was quite a lot, so we did see a few areas that got 3 or 4 or 5 inches of rainfall. It's not going to completely erase the drought, but I think we could see a few areas go down from exceptional drought to extreme drought, and from extreme drought down to severe drought in a few of those areas. So that's definitely good news. We're starting to eat away at some of those drought issues in the western United States. And that is going to wrap it up for today's video. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.